Hello everyone, Namaste and welcome to this channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make Palak Paneer, also my husband's favorite dish. It also happens to be the first Indian dish that I ever learned to cook. Since finding good quality paneer that just melts in your mouth is so difficult once you move outside India, I'll be showing you some alternates or swaps that you can use instead. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how to make Palak Paneer in two different ways. One with using traditional paneer and one with using tofu. Here I have opted for firm tofu. You can use extra firm tofu as well. Some of my friends and family who've recently moved abroad have told me that they do not have a blender. So don't worry guys, for the second recipe, which is a palak tofu recipe, I will not be using a blender. I'll show you how you can still make palak tofu or palak paneer if you want to without any blending. So without wasting any more of your time, let's look at the ingredients. First we have our spinach, which is thoroughly washed. Then we have our paneer. Now here I am using homemade paneer. I will be putting out a recipe video soon. And here is the swap. For this recipe I am using 400 grams of firm tofu, half a bunch of coriander, 2 medium-sized onions, 2 medium-sized chopped tomatoes. And now we look at our holy grail. 1 inch of ginger, 6 to 7 cloves of garlic and 4 green chilies. All the dry spices used for this dish will be mentioned throughout the process. Let's start with our first method, Palak Paneer. In order to prep our spinach, we first need to blanch it. Here I'm going to add our spinach to a boiling pot of water. Next to it, I have taken a bowl of iced water and we'll be adding our blanched spinach into it. We'll only blanch our spinach for around 2 minutes. Remember, we are only wilting the leaves and not cooking it thoroughly. With the help of a sieve and a ladle, I will be transferring the spinach into our ice bath. This process of adding our spinach into the ice bath is crucial. It will not only shock the leaves to stop its cooking process, but it will also help to retain its green color. Once the spinach has been added, we'll let it sit and cool down to room temperature. Now that we have blanched our spinach, let's make the puree. First, we'll add our spinach, followed by half an inch of ginger, 3/4 of a roughly cut onion. We'll take about half the portion of fresh coriander, and here I'm taking about 1.5 green chilies. You can of course add or reduce the amount of chilies into your puree. And that's it, off it goes into a blender. Blend all the ingredients for around 45 seconds to a minute. We are not looking for a very smooth consistency here. We still want some bits in the puree, but just make sure that everything has been blended well. Now into our heated pot, I'll add 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. You can use any oil that you prefer here. Once the oil is hot enough, in goes 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, 1/4 of a teaspoon of asafoetida or hing. Stir it a little bit. To this we'll add around 3 cloves of finely chopped garlic. Remember that we have already added onion to our puree, but for our masala we'll add 1/4 of a sliced onion. Once our onions have turned translucent and looks slightly pink, we'll start adding our dry spices. 1/4 teaspoon of haldi, half a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder and 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. Mix all the spices in thoroughly with the onions. Since I prefer using very less oil for this recipe, I like to add around 2 to 3 tablespoons of water just to make sure our dry spices don't burn or stick to the bottom. Once our spices have cooked and our onions have wilted, we'll go ahead and add our chopped tomatoes. Stir the tomatoes in thoroughly. I like to add a pinch of salt at this stage. It helps our tomatoes cook faster. Once our tomatoes have been cooked properly, you'll see them start getting softer and mushy. Then we'll go ahead and add our spinach puree into the masala. Stir everything well together for around 1 to 2 minutes. Then we add water. I have used 1/4 cup of water and added it to our blender jar. This ensures that we get every last bit of our puree and we do not waste anything. Let our spinach cook for around 4 minutes on medium heat. Then we'll go ahead and take the lid off. Be very careful when you take the lid off. This spinach mix has a tendency to splatter everywhere. Lower the heat of our spinach and then we'll go ahead and add the rest of our spices. First we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala, followed by salt to your taste. Here is an optional spice. I personally prefer the taste and smell of dried fenugreek leaves or kasuri methi, but if you do not have access to it, you can choose to skip this one. Stir all the spices in thoroughly and then we'll close the lid and let it cook for around 3 minutes on low heat. Once the 3 minutes are up, take the lid off carefully and stir again just to make sure nothing sticks to the surface. Here we have another optional step. A lot of palak paneer recipes call for adding some cream into your spinach mix. Well, I personally like to add some whipped yogurt instead. It just makes this dish slightly healthier and you still get the creaminess. Stir in the yogurt thoroughly and continue cooking on low heat. And here's the final step. Gently place paneer in the spinach mix. Remember to be very light-handed with your paneer as it can crumble and fall apart very easily. Once you have added the paneer into your spinach, gently fold and stir your spinach mix over the paneer so that it reaches all the crevices of your paneer. And that's it guys, your palak paneer is ready. Now let's move on to method number 2, our palak tofu. We'll start by patting dry our tofu and cutting it into cubes. Tofu is a great alternative for vegans and anyone who is on a low caloric and low fat diet. While paneer is high in protein, it is also very high in fats and hence more calories. Below you'll see the nutritional facts of both paneer and tofu. Now let's move on with our recipe. First we'll have to boil our tofu to get the similar texture of paneer. Add your cubed tofu to a boiling pot of water and boil it for roughly around 2 to 3 minutes. Take your tofu out of the pot and you'll see that the texture has already changed. Since we won't be using a blender for this recipe, we need to finely chop our spinach. I recommend taking small batches of spinach leaves and rolling it together and then starting to chop finely. Go over the spinach with your knife in multiple angles to get even better results. Here is how your spinach should look. Now it's time to chop our red onions. Here I have taken 1 red onion and I will be finely chopping it. Now it's time to cook everything. Heat up a pot and add 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil. Once your pot is hot enough, go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds. Followed by 3 to 4 cloves of finely chopped garlic and 1.5 green chilies. Stir everything together. Once you see the garlic change its color into a lighter brown, Then we'll go ahead and add our chopped onion. Mix everything together and cook for a minute. Then we'll add half an inch of chopped ginger. Stir everything together till you see your onions have changed its color and become translucent. Now it's time to add our dry spices. First we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of haldi, followed by half a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder and 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. Mix your spices in well with the onion. You can also use the water technique here to make sure that your spices don't burn or stick to the surface. Once you see that your dry masalas and your onions have been properly cooked, then we'll go ahead and add our chopped tomato. Stir everything together. You can also add a pinch of salt at this stage just to make the process faster. Once your tomatoes are cooked, go ahead and add your chopped spinach to the masala. Let your spinach cook for around 2 to 3 minutes and reduce in size. Then we'll add our salt. Here you can use salt to your taste. Go ahead and give it a good mix. Once it's all come together, put a lid and let it cook on medium heat. After around 4 minutes, go ahead and take the lid off. Be careful as the steam can burn you. Then we'll bring in our potato masher to mash everything together. Although we cannot replicate the consistency of a blended palak paneer, this is our only chance to take our sweet time and make sure that there are no big bits left in our palak. Once you're satisfied with the consistency, then we'll go ahead and add the rest of our spices. We'll add 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala and 1 tablespoon of crushed fenugreek leaves. Mix both the spices in well together. Then comes our optional step, adding in whipped yogurt. You can completely skip this step and that will make the whole dish vegan. Make sure that your heat level is low when you're adding in yogurt. And then mix everything together. And there you have it, your spinach base is ready. Now we'll go ahead and add our boiled tofu into the mix. Make sure to be very gentle and light-handed during this process as tofu can also break very easily. Fold the spinach curry in with your tofu and be very gentle during this process. Give it one last steam for around 2 to 3 minutes and there you have it. Your palak tofu is also ready. I love eating palak paneer or palak tofu with a side of simple rice. Here I have gone ahead and paired it with some jeera rice. I also like to add a little bit of crunch to this dish with some roasted papad and garnished our dishes with some ginger and coriander. And that's it. There we have it, guys. So, what do you think?
First, let me try the paneer. Nice and soft, melts in your mouth because it's homemade. I think if it was market paneer, it wouldn't be this soft. Consistent. Let me try the tofu now. The tofu is a great replacement for paneer. Even though I prefer the paneer, I think the tofu resembles market paneer.
Okay.
So it is a bit more firm than your homemade paneer. And yeah, it's up to the preference.
And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you do try it at home, please tell me in the comment section below. And I really loved reading all your comments in the previous video. I wish you guys a lot of happiness and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!